Welcome to the Life Engineering Podcast. My name is Gabriela, former chemical engineer, relationship coach, and author. In each episode, we'll uncover the wisdom, strategies, and tools to help you build thriving relationships and purpose-driven careers. My wish is that something shared in this space touches your heart, brings clarity, or gently guides you toward what you need most in your life right now. Thank you for being here. Let's begin now. Have you ever hit a point in life where everything looked good on paper, but deep down you knew you were stuck? What does it really take to rebuild after life-altering moments like a divorce? And not just survive, but actually rise stronger, wiser, and more aligned than ever before? Could your stuck season actually be the doorway to your power? Today's guest believes it is, and she is a living proof. Her story is a powerful blend of courage, clarity, and conscious transformation. Dr. Alisa Whyte is the #1 international best-selling author and one of today's leading voices in personal and professional reinvention. As a workforce, life, and business strategist, and the creator of the transformational SHYFT Framework, she empowers people to move from stuck to unstoppable. She's known as the #1 mindset disruptor. I can't wait to hear more about that. Dr. Alisa is the founder of Mindset Mastery 360 and host of the top, listen to this, #1 podcast Mindset Mastery Moments. Top 1%. She's the host of the top 1% podcast Mindset Mastery Moments. Her work blends real world strategy with deep inner shifts to help people like you and me engineer not just success, but fulfillment. Today, she's here to help you shift into your power and take back your territory starting now. Wow, Dr. Alisa, welcome to our show.
Yay, I'm so excited, Gabriela, to be here. I love your podcast. I love your work. We have had conversations before, so I am ready to come and honored to be here with your tribe and your audience, your viewers and listeners, to share my journey and how they can make the shift as well and not just be a recovered person or a person who made it through, but a person who becomes completely unstoppable in wherever they want to go in purpose.
Oh, I can't wait. And as you said, we first connected when I had the privilege of being on your show, Mindset Mastery Moments, and we had such a powerful connection,
Oh,
like a genuine, thought provoking conversation. So I know today is going to be epic.
yes, I know it is. It's a continuation, and yeah, I'm excited.
Wow.
My turn to sit in the hot seat.
Well, you know, this is a treat for all of us. So tell us more about your journey. I want to start from
Absolutely.
the beginning. What was the turning point that led you to your shift after divorce? Tell us more about that.
So I love the way you introduce the our conversation because I don't know anyone who has never experienced like a time in their life where it just did not make sense. Like
Mm,
everyone thinks everything is okay, but you on the inside, you just feel maybe a little bit lost, out of sync,
mhm.
sometimes
I like
sad,
that word.
depressed even, but you're functioning. Um, I went through that space in my life after going through multiple treatments for infertility treatments to have a baby, and then I miscarried that pregnancy with twins very early on, and it just that shook me to the core. I asked God why, but
Mm.
after the pain, I was like, I released the control of it, but I still feel so unsatisfied. And so I talk in my work about hitting that point where I was just so lost and empty. But then my ex-husband said, I feel like I am holding you back from living your full purpose. And I was like, what? It's like you thought about it, but you never,
That
you never
question came out of nowhere, or that
had the
statement.
conversation and he brought that up, right?
So, what did
So,
he mean by that?
exactly. Now, there were certain things that had happened in that relationship that he had done that would cause our journey to go through so many hardships. And I think he felt guilty. And at this point, he might have weighed all his options, whatever the case may be. I have a lot of scenarios about it. But I realized with him saying that to me in that moment for the first time, because it wasn't the first time he brought it up, sort of. It was first time he brought it up in that way that seemed more about me. But the conversation went on to us saying, then me agreeing, because he'd brought it up before, for us to separate that day.
Okay.
Now I was sweating, I was crying, but somehow in my mind, I knew it was time to choose me and not to let someone else sort of puppet me or move me around wherever they needed me. And so in that moment when I said, yes, let's separate, it was an agreement to do a separation where we can come back together. However, I did not want to do that. I never like to walk away from things. I believe if you're going to build something, you have to be present. You can't be separate. What present looks like could vary. However, it was always my belief that when you work on that marriage, when you work on that relationship, you do it together, you have a third party. But he was asking for us to separate. And when I said yes, it meant I was saying yes to me and no more to what we would have done. Now, for our listeners and viewers, that relationship from the outside, even for us, we thought we had a great relationship, but we had all these external pressures that would have been created based on his decisions. Then the infertility issues. So it was just compounded. And for me as a person, I always express, I felt like my lungs were shutting down, but it wasn't my physical lungs, like the breath of my life, hope was dying inside of me. And I felt lost and confused. And so for our listener viewers, it might not be a relationship for you, but I want you to listen to our conversation where Gabrielle is going to guide us, and I will give you everything I have in honesty and sincerity. And of course, we will get to dive into how I made the shift, right? So for me, Gabriella, it that moment when I said yes, I felt like everything was closing in. I wanted to die because it feels like it was time to say yes to me and I was saying yes to me, but what all the uncertainties, all the unknowns, all the confusion, what am I supposed to be without this marriage of 17 years? Who am I really? I got married at 22. We're sitting here having this conversation at age 34. So it's, we were together since I was 17. So half my life was in this relationship. Where am I supposed to go? So that confusion was hard on me. It hit me, and I realized that, you know what, you were sacrificing your peace, but now you don't have no life. My voice, my purpose, everything was being sacrificed to keep that going, and it wasn't worth it. And so, my bold answer, yes, let's do it, was a conscious decision to walk away from everything, but I didn't feel like I had nothing to walk to, even though I'm saying I purpose and we're having this conscious conversation. I felt like I had nothing to walk to, but
I'm so glad you're saying all of this.
yeah,
You're sharing that because people normally believe that they need to have an alternative before they actually walk away from their current situation, and it's totally okay. Sometimes, in fact, you first need to let go for the other door to open up. But more importantly, what I hear from your story is that even though you know you're doing the right thing, deep inside, you know this is what you need to do. That doesn't mean that it's going to come without doubt, without
right,
fear. without
Yes,
uncertainty, right? So,
exactly.
because sometimes people say, well, if I have so much fear, if I have so much uncertainty, so much doubt, maybe it's not meant to be. No, these are
Yeah,
two different things. In fact, there are two different parts of you that are operating here, and you have to be able to distinguish
exactly.
where is the fear coming from and where is the decision to do the right thing because you know is what you need to do coming from. Can you
Exactly.
can you can you talk more about that?
Absolutely. And that is a thing that causes a lot of individuals to stay stuck, to stand still, to not move, because we feel like we have to have it all figured out when we know what we're supposed to do, when we know we are not on in alignment. Not, I don't say the wrong path, but not in alignment. Here's the thing. I talk about when you discover your purpose and you know what you're supposed to do, even if you're not clear. The push of pain or the pull of purpose can be the way you end up on the right path for yourself. Preferably, we like to make choices, but it's not always how it works. Sometimes it's just stepping into the unknown. For anyone who's listening to us, what I knew I needed to do was not what I was choosing. Because again, like you said, I didn't have those answers. What I did do though was allow myself to make the decision mentally that first it sounded like I needed to choose me. That's what it sounded like. Like I haven't been choosing me. So that's all I know. And here is the invitation. I feel like he was the push. I was upset and angry at one point that he was having this conversation, but his voice was a push and it was painful. But I didn't, where am I going? Where am I going to land? It's where you just have to trust, because anything that you're doing right now that's keeping you stuck, you're not living. That's the first thing. You're spiraling mentally. You're having these thoughts over and over in your head, over and over in your head about I'm not good enough. I feel miserable. I don't like my job. I don't You feel like you don't like anything, you're not enjoying anything, but you're showing up for it. That's the spiral I talk about in my shift framework. We are humans, and if you think about water is, when it flows, it's beautiful to see, it's beautiful to experience. But water, when it's stuck, it collects all the debris and it grows algae, and it's stinky, and no one wants to be around that water. That is an analogy that I would love to give to anyone who's saying, well, where am I going to? Do you think the water knows where it's going?
But wait,
Does it?
wait. I want to hear more about your shift framework, and I want to move forward. But I feel like I can't without asking you, uh, maybe a very personal question. Although
Go
we are
for it.
sharing personal stuff, because and I guess it's because of my background, right, in
Yes.
marriage. And I say the first pillar of the marriage is the me. Can't you?
Yes.
Can't you say yes to yourself within the relationship?
I believe that one can. However, with my knowledge at the time and my upbringing
Oh, I
and
love that.
my religious beliefs and all those things, I would say, I was not prepared to choose myself. And the truth of the matter is, I'd already had past behavior, not in a romantic relationship because my ex husband was my first, of not choosing myself. You see, as women, I want to speak to our women. We are trained from early, in my culture at least, that we are to come up and learn how to cook, how to take care of a home, how to take care of children, how to nurture our family, have a husband. It is the bedrock of what our pride and joy of being a woman is, right? And so we learn how to do that. Now, I was the first child in my household from my
Oh, okay,
parents,
that says a lot.
a first of three. But then you have these bonds you make and the leading that you take on. Then I have leadership in church. So I was always, pouring. And that's, don't get it wrong, not to be a victim. We enjoy that. We get satisfaction about that. But the thing is, when you used to ask if I couldn't do it in a relationship, of course I could, but I did not know how. This is why your teaching, Gabriela, is so important. When I had you on my podcast and I learned the first most important pillar in any relationship is you. And you talk about it from the marriage perspective, which is so important. I talk about it in the leadership perspective as well. If you're going to lead, if you're going to be a manager, the I in leadership is you. So everything starts with you, and that's where everyone learns how to relate with you. And that's where it all begins. So I could have, but I didn't know how to, and so I didn't. No one's fault, but just lack of knowledge.
Yeah, our conditioning is very powerful. So you didn't just survive, you actually rebuilt with purpose. You chose you. Tell
Yes.
us more about the shift framework. I can't wait to hear about it. Or
Absolutely. So that's exactly where I give the board to the shift framework. But of course, you all know it's been over 10 years. I didn't know to call it that, right? I just know I had to look back because women particularly would say, how did you go through all the infertility, the diagnosis with Hashimoto's and then divorce and all that? How did you do it? So I need to tell them. And that's where shift, and I spelled it
wow.
SHYFT, was born. It is my personal blueprint that I've worked with clients in the corporate space, in the personal, professional, with their career, and it works. And let me just break it down really quick for our listeners and viewers. I know you can't wait to hear it. The first letter S stands for stop the spiral. As I shared with you, I was spiraling mentally and emotionally, but covering it up. I was having these thoughts of, what is my life now? Who am I? What I'm supposed to do before, and even if as I contemplate, do I need to be separated? Because he brought it up before, and then after, it just was a madhouse. The H stands for heal hesitation, and that is right where you asked me. I don't know where I'm going to, so why should I leave what I'm sure of? Stop that hesitation. The hesitation that we have, clarity comes in movement. So just move. So healing and moving through the hesitation phase. And then why? Yielding to the possibilities. The possibility is in the space of unknown, but it comes to you on the journey as you move forward. And then the F is focusing forward. Just keep
Mhm.
moving, and we will talk a little bit more as we move along. I will show you how this works. And then the T is for taking territory. That is you standing in position of what you're put on this earth for, your why, and then sorting through the what and how you're going to express that throughout the rest of your life, which can look different at different times. But now you're in a space of authority where you now, as you would say, Gabriela, you've prioritized you, your purpose, your mission on earth, and you bring your relationships, your environment into that space where you are now expressing your fullest, highest self, which for me is what brings the fulfillment piece.
Wow. So was I can hear I would love to hear examples of
Absolutely.
how you put this into practice. Um,
Absolutely. So
yeah.
when I left the marriage, I had to stop the spiral of guilt, shame, and overthinking. That
Mhm.
mental loop was keeping me emotionally paralyzed. I had to say no more, pause, and give myself space to hear my own voice again, because I was meeting the requests of the church, of my husband, of the marriage, of the home, of being a mom someday. And going after those quests, they were all coming from the external validation. It was not my own voice. Then came that healing, the hesitation that exists in me, the fears, the doubts, the limiting beliefs. You know, I felt like, am I too old to start over? what if I fail? But I had to reframe that narrative that leaving wasn't failing, it was choosing alignment, right?
Ooh, I like
When it
that.
comes to yielding,
Living is not failing, is choosing.
it's
Wait,
an
wait, wait, wait.
alignment.
I have to. I want our listeners. Are you hearing this? Everybody here? Are you hearing this? Living is not quitting. What did you? Can you repeat?
It's not failing. It's
It's not
choosing
failing.
alignment.
Thank you. Living is not failing. Is choosing alignment. That's
Exactly.
powerful.
It
Okay.
is. And what is because the whole spiral was because you were not in alignment. Now, I am not saying that someone has to have a divorce to be aligned. Sometimes you do, it comes that way. And but choosing number one to honor yourself and bring, like I said, that healing to all the
But
hesitation is alignment.
I want to say, I think a divorce, if I take that word, I had a divorce to align from my previous career.
Mm.
So it's not a divorce from my husband, but I had a divorce from my engineering career in order to
Ooh,
align. So it
yes.
doesn't necessarily have to be from divorce, with the, with your husband, the way
Right.
we think about that word. But divorce from something else, you're letting go.
Exactly. Sometimes it's a career, it's a job. Sometimes it is just a way of how you think. To For me to be healthy, I had to divorce a lot of habits or inaction to be able to accomplish that, right? So
That's
it's that separation and it's that realignment that's so important. Now, when we talk about yielding to possibility, that was a stretch. It meant that I needed to expand my vision,
right. Hmm.
going from what life could be after the pain. What can it be? Can it be starting when you say yield to possibility? It's those what if questions. And when you ask the what if, then you say, how can I? Not I can't, and I don't know how to.
Oh,
How
I
can
like that.
I welcomes that possibility? What if love could look different, stronger, deeper? What if this wasn't the end of my story, but an elevation of my story? So
Oof.
I welcome the possibilities, and that is the yielding for the why that I talk about, right? Then I had to learn to focus on forward motion because believe it or not, I could sit and sob and cry and pity myself for whatever shift I had to make, whatever divorce or I had to leave behind a job. Or I can stop staring in the rearview mirror, I say. Instead, set my sights on a future I could design with intention. Because let's face it, I was living by default.
Yes.
I
Some
was living to, yeah, to what society tells me is supposed to be
it
the
was designed for
rule.
you.
Yes,
Yes.
that is default. But now with intentionality and clarity that comes in the moving, that season of waiting, I talk about in my journey about waiting and dating. Um, Now when it comes to love, I was now doing it with intention and clarity, not of only of who I am, where I'm going, what I desire, what works for me, what doesn't work for me, and presenting myself with such clarity in the world that I don't have to run around different relationships. I will now meet people while I am on my journey, right? And giving that as an example. So I treated everything like preparation, but not punishment for what I lost or what I let go of in order to be in alignment. And then finally, I was taking territory, that T. That's where now I am walking fully in my purpose, helping others disrupt their own limitations and leading unapologetically in their true life. And I'll say this, turning their setbacks into strategy, because everything that happened in my relationship was a gift to my future, but only because I chose to see it that way. I was able to look over time in that healing space I talk about and see how I dishonored myself even before the relationship with ignorance. So easy. I was seeing my action, holding accountability, but understanding you cannot, and I say this You cannot make decisions above your knowledge. So I let that go. Now I had new information that I was putting into practice and focus on moving forward. And I will tell you, clarity came in the movement and the desire to be aligned. It did not just hit me, oh, I'm going to have a top 1% podcast.
Oh,
Heck, even when I started podcast, I
uh,
didn't even know what that was.
I'm such a former believer of that. I say clarity is found on, in the path. If you're
Yeah,
not clear, if you're confused, take a step forward. Don't
exactly.
stay still because you're going to find the clarity along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm a former believer on that. Uh,
So that's the shift in motion and how it began in my journey. And how, if you are listening to us, I'm sure by now it's starting to make sense to you. And when I'm working with my clients, we get from stuck to unstuck on little and big issues because sometimes we might think this is so small. I need to make a shift in how I eat. You do,
mhm,
because that affects your self-worth when your stomach is bloated. Maybe you don't gain a lot of weight, but you have that discomfort in your stomach. So making the shift would probably mean you recruiting new information, but until you put it in action and you think of the possibilities where you're not constantly cramping, having to go to the bathroom and all those things that impede you to be your best self, it wouldn't. It sounds small, right? But you need to make a shift to in order to experience being in alignment. Because when you're off in the stomach, it's you're not aligned. The dietitians will tell you what you're eating is not in alignment with your body. Even though, like for me, I can't eat tomatoes. I have
mhm.
horrible cramps. While tomatoes is a healthy vegetable, or sometimes people call it a fruit for most anyone, but it doesn't work for me. So to give myself my stomach in alignment to optimize my health, I have to shift from eating tomatoes and find other fruits and vegetables that I enjoy that allows my stomach to be at ease. So the shift is always necessary.
I think that when we start walking the path towards alignment, start
Mhm.
taking more congruent actions, like you say, you have to move
Yes.
forward. Decisions don't change your life. It's choices, actions
Come
that change
on,
your life.
yes.
So when you start taking those congruent actions and you start um, you start coming into your highway of alignment, I call it, because it's so
Yes.
much easier to be misaligned everywhere else except where that unique path of alignment for you.
Hmm.
That's when you step into the path of miracles,
Yes. Oh, come
and
on.
you're channeling so much energy, divine energy, through
Yes.
your spirit,
Yes.
right? You find that your spirit is moving you towards that place. I think that if we step inside, if we look inside and we tune in, we know when we are in alignment and when we are not, and we know when we are compromising too.
Yes. Absolutely.
I think that misalignment is synonym in many ways to that feeling that you are compromising,
Exactly.
unless that what you know is meant for you,
What is meant for you?
not the
I
best,
love
but
that.
what is meant for you.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And for those who might be listening and they might be on the fence about a separation, whether it's a marriage or just a relationship, is a job. You have to, I don't want you to, when you're releasing, when you're making the conscious decision to stop the spiral, I want you to understand that because something is now not in alignment for you in this era, in this space, at this time, it doesn't mean it wasn't alignment 5 years ago. And that's the hard part about letting go of relationships or for things that have become an everyday part of our life, like a career, like a job, like a friendship, whatever that is, like a habit of how you eat and how you dress and what you wear. Those things seem so hard to let go of because it worked very well for so long sometimes. So you're like, I don't know anything else but this, obviously. But here's the thing, it served you. So when I honor that relationship that I had to release for alignment, It's alignment for my now. Now, I'm not suggesting that people make, but just understand, I wasn't in alignment with myself before got married. So every decision I made at that time was based on the information I had. And so the misalignment can continue because the misinformation, the misunderstanding with self was there. So now I'm wanting to align with self and what my purpose is. Those things are not going to serve me anymore. And that's where I want to encourage you that doesn't mean it was bad.
Oh
It just is
no.
not,
And we
it just
definitely don't
doesn't
want to
serve
carry
you now.
regrets.
Yes, it doesn't serve you now and where you know you are supposed to go. Because let's face it, in a marriage, in a relationship or two, like the one I was in, at any given time, my ex husband and I could have chosen to sit in therapy, ongoing, and align ourselves as individuals to our purpose, learn how to choose ourselves as you teach, Gabriela, and then relearn how to bring the union in alignment for purpose as well. But guess what, guys? My ex husband did not choose that. He said, I am leading you. I miss. I am causing you to be in misalignment, literally. And I think it was genius. So I'm going to release you to align. He did not choose to stay to align. His
To
choice.
course correct within the relationship.
And I agreed with it because for so long, for many years, I have been trying to bring us into alignment, not with me or my purpose, but with what we work together for. You see, you don't get to control what other people do. You get to respond. But if you're responding from a place of power and not victimhood, your outcomes will be grand. And that's where I am. Doesn't mean I didn't have hardship. Doesn't mean I didn't have fear. I felt the fear and I did it anyway. I took one little step at a time. And for me, every little step at times felt so accelerated. You know why? I was in alignment and I kept getting up and saying yes to purpose, yes to my calling, yes to who I truly am, and no to everything else that was outside of that. That is the only thing I could tell you. And there are times I didn't, and it was bumpy, and all I did was shift back over to get in alignment. Oh, like you said, one choice after the other. Decision, then choices to go with it. Decision, I'm going this way. Make that decision. I will not do anything outside of what I'm created for. That's the decision. But the choices you make, little, is what designs the path for you and keeps you in alignment. So,
And those choices are always rewarded with the support and the push from the universe, from your creator. Absolutely.
absolutely.
Wow. For what I really appreciate about your conversation, first, of course, that you took us through the SHYFT framework so we can see how to apply it in real life situations and that it's
Yes,
doable. But
yes,
I also appreciate the way the authenticity and the genuine way you share what you went through, because I think we can all resonate with that. We all go through these moments when we
yes.
know we're compromising, we know we're not in alignment in one aspect of our lives,
Mhm.
and that's when we have to apply conscious choice. And
Yes,
it's not always easy. So I really appreciate that you actually took us through your process. And if
yes.
someone who's in the thick of a heartbreak or uncertainty, someone listening is going through that right now, what would you tell them?
I would say you haven't missed your moment. I'm going to
Oh,
repeat that. You have not missed your moment. You're not broken. You are becoming.
I love
You are
that.
not broken. You are becoming. And your shift does not have to look perfect to anyone, including yourself. You just have to begin that decision, whether it's leaving something behind, stepping into something new, or just learning how to trust yourself and your inner voice again. Start with one decision that, listen to me, honors you. That voice within, that voice within that says, Alisa, this is where you desire, this is where you want to be. This is how you want to be. This is what you want to experience. This is what you want to feel. You're not broken, you are becoming. Not starting over. This is the confusion about everything. We always think we're starting over. There's no possible way. You're only going to start over if you go right back to your mother's womb and come back out.
I love that.
You're starting with a whole lot of experience. That makes you skilled. And I always tell my clients, you have had, and this is so underestimated, you have been winning every battle that came against you, or you wouldn't be here right now. You wouldn't be here.
So true.
So that's it. You have not missed your moment and you're not broken. You're becoming. That's what I would tell them.
Do you hear that? Do you hear what Dr. Alisa is saying? You have not missed your moment. What a gift, those words. A gift to our soul.
Yes.
Listen to your desire. Have goosebumps. So, Dr. Alisa, we're getting towards the end, and I know Shift is more than a framework, it's a movement. So
Yes,
where can people start their shift today? Where can they learn more about your process?
absolutely. So I always say, and I love that I get to be here with Gabriela. I'm going to tell you first, she has a shift framework of her own. So connect with her. But if you feel like you're connecting with my message and my journey and this framework that I've created, and later this year we'll release the best-selling book and the program to accompany it, you can always go to alisawhite.com. I'm everywhere on social media. We created a movement called Mindset Mastery 360, and it is a nonprofit. This is a global movement surrounding mastering your mindset, and the shift is everywhere there. Our goal with MM360, as we commonly call it, it is to bring this framework and many others that just help individuals shift from limiting beliefs, self-doubt, fear into connecting with their true values, core belief, determining and rediscovering and realigning with their purpose and clarity and leading into their fulfilled lives, and then helping others do the same. Because while you might not be a coach, a speaker, a podcaster like Gabriela and I, you are serving and working in an area. And that's what I realize. Whether you drive the dump truck, or you're the guy putting the garbage on the truck, or you are the person that faithfully has been checking me out at the Walmart, you are impacting and affecting people. But the most important person first is yourself. I have never asked Gabriela, anyone, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I asked this to people in their 50s and 60s too. And they ever said, oh, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer so I can be the richest person. They always say, I want to help people. I want to help people. I want to help people. And I want to make a lot of money too. And I call that impact, influence, income. Because when you have the income, you can do more. So in MM360, it's each one teach one. We gather right now, we're over 1,000 of us across the world, and it's free to join us. And we have the free training where you get the basics, where you can apply to your life, and then you can help someone learn to apply it in your community, whether it's in another country or not. So we teach you this framework and many other of we have the VSM matrix, vision, strategy, mentorship. The leaders there, we volunteer to bring this. And then if you would like coaching and all the other stuff, that's available for you at the cost. But today, for our listeners, if you want to get the starter kit, you can just go to alisawhite.com and hit that 21 day of mindset transformation. And then we will send you the link to the shift framework that we have created to get you going for absolutely free.
Wow. Well, first of all, we're going to have these in the show notes, but do you hear? She's offering you, Alisa is offering you to join the movement, to start
Yes.
the work today, to
Yes.
start taking the first step, and all of that at no cost. This is
Yes.
incredible.
Yes.
Incredible. That's true purpose. And really
Exactly.
coming from a place of being at service and giving. Like you said, I'll tell you a quick story.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, I want to put a picture on Facebook, but my son didn't want to be on social media. But last week, my youngest says, Mom, I need to interview an entrepreneur. Can I interview you? And I'm like, wow,
Wow.
that's the biggest honor. That's the best
Yes.
interview that, I ever had.
Yeah.
The
Wow.
biggest honor of all. So,
How old
so
is he?
he's 16. He needed that
Oh
for
my,
his
that's awesome.
entrepreneurial class at school.
Wow.
So one of the question was, you know, did you get into entrepreneurship? Because I was in a 9 to 5 job as an engineer. He said, you shift into entrepreneurship
Mm-hmm.
to make money. Did you choose to become a coach to make money? I said,
Mm.
no. I just simply wanted to help people. I wanted to coach. I
Yes.
think, and I think I said money is the result of that, is the
Yes.
side effect of that.
Yes.
And I don't think that heart-centered entrepreneurs go into whatever it is that they're doing just to make money.
Exactly.
That's not
That's
a
why we
cause.
find
That's
it
a
hard
result.
figuring out making money sometimes because we just want to do the work.
And I love that you ask people what you want to do when you grow up, because
Mhm.
when I turned 35, I vividly remember this,
Mm.
blowing my candle, the cake. And my wish was, I want to know what I want to do with my life when I grow up.
Wow.
I knew I was in the same situation as you. I knew I was not aligned in my career.
Mm.
I knew what I didn't want anymore, but
Yes.
I didn't know what was coming. I didn't know what I was stepping into.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why your story resonates with me so much, whether it's
Mm.
within, and for all our listeners, this is applicable whether it's career, relationship,
Yes.
or
Yes.
anything you're not in alignment with your health, with, like you said, with your
Yes.
eating, any aspect of your life. So
Absolutely.
I am extremely grateful to you, Dr. White, for your generosity and authenticity, for all this value that you provided to our listeners. It has been an incredible conversation
Thank you.
because it's filled with so much kindness,
Mm.
right? Wisdom and insight. And you said to me when you interview me, you said, people don't care what you know.
Mm.
People
Yes.
care how you make them feel. And I will never
Yes.
forget those words.
Yes.
And I know how you made me feel. So I
Ah,
know your listeners are feeling probably the same.
thank you. Thank
So
you.
thank you for sharing your journey, your strategies, your passion with us. And I can't wait for everybody to go into your alisawhite.com and join your movement and start shifting.
Yes, absolutely. Let's shift and continue to support this podcast. It's definitely making a difference in the world of re engineering your life. And it starts with you. It always starts with you. I want to say to the listeners what I said earlier. Remember, you have not missed your moment. You're not broken. You are becoming. Love, light, peace, and blessings. Keep mastering your mindset. Think, speak, do, become.
Thank you so much. And thank you for our listener. Thank you to our listeners for joining today. We look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks.
Bye now.